Minglaba and welcome to My Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Michelle with the recent news and reports from around Myanmar. Dora Susan got the latest report on questions raised about anchovy fishings in Amyotha Hluttaw. Bomo will give us all the details on many Myanmar returnees faced with difficulties to come back. Wilson has the details on vehicles price amid new tax exemption. Pyodharidu has the full story on MS-NPAN to be carried out with the implementation. All of these proposals will be coming up on Myanmar Today, but for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. Officials from the Department of Disaster Management under the supervision of the National Disaster Management Committee are providing relief assistance together with offering words of comfort and food to the flood victims in Pye, Shuidang and Brown Township in Bago region. Union Minister for Social Welfare, Relief and Resettlement, Dr. Wimya, officials, Hluttaw representatives and local authorities visited the temporary relief shelter and give cash and other supplies. Dr. Wimya and officials coordinated an evacuation of people near the bank erosion area in Tasijon village of Shuidang Township. The fire rescues board with worth about 2 million jets and 10 sets of life jackets were also presented for the disaster awareness, response and affected persons in Opu Township. During the meeting with the flood victims, the Union Minister and party explained the impact of the climate change such as drought and flood and the government's measures on these disasters and measures against the COVID-19. The Union Minister for Information, Dr. Pimit, delivered an opening remark at the coordination meeting for forming the collective management organizations held at the meeting hall of the Printing House Central, Printing and Publishing Department, Thainpyu Road, Yangon on Tuesday. Next, the Acting Director General of the Information and Public Relations Department, Ue Dred, clarified the matter regarding the formations and collective management organizations, and the attendees also discussed what they wanted to know. After discussion, various matters, the Union Minister Dr. Pimit gave the speech of conclusion. Heavy rains hit Baokhan Township area of Bago region. In Ganchin village, an 80 feet long and 6 feet wide wooden bridge was swept away. Also, Ganchin Myanigong Rural Road was destroyed. The heavy rain also flooded Ganchin Station Hospital. Also in Teroli village in Mijina Township, a 40 feet long and 12 feet wide bridge was swept away by the heavy rains, which also flooded in Teroli and Minda villages. According to the Information and Public Relations Department, people in the villages were evacuated. Myanmar nationals, including seafarers, arrived back home by a relief flight of Myanmar National Airline on Monday night after they were stranded in Australia due to suspensions of the international flight. The return of 141 Myanmar citizens were arranged by Myanmar Embassy in Canberra. On arrival at the airport, the Ministry of Labour, Immigration and Population, the Ministry of Health and Sports, and the Yangon Region government held for the 21-day quarantine period at the designated places and the respective hotels in line with the guidance of the immigration and healthcare processes. In accordance with the directive of the National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in coordination with the Myanmar embassies abroad and other relevant ministries in Myanmar, has been organizing relief special flight since the end of April 2020, and the total of 9,336 persons arrived back home under this program. Strong wind hits Jonsu Township area of Meg District. The strong winds destroyed the religious governmental buildings and 26 houses in the ward and villages in the township area. No deaths or injuries were reported. The victims are now taking shelter at their relative houses, according to the Information and Public Relations Department. That's all with the local news. Now we'll move on to our first report. On the 8th day of the second Amyotha Hluttaw 17th regular section, Hluttaw representative raised a question about how it is working to take the action against the illegal and violated fishing of the anchovy along the coast connected with the Long Township of the Nindari region. and the Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Irrigation gave the response.
Amyotha Hluttaw held the 8th day of 17 regular session on Tuesday, and Hluttaw Representative Uttanaiso from the Nai Region Constituency 2 raised a question about anchovy fishing along the coast connected with Long Township. He raised a question about the plan to take action against the illegal and violated fishing of anchovies in accordance with Myanmar Marine Fisheries Law.
The
Nindari region is connected with the sea coast of Myanmar in the west, where the residents earn their living from fisheries. Most of the residents traditionally sail the motors fishing boat for individual and small-scale business. Starting from 2012, the number of other businesses coming into the coast connecting Long Township, and there are more and more fishing vessels catching anchovies. This caused the residents' small-scale businesses lose the chance, and finally, the residents become migrant workers in other countries.
He also said that the huge fishing vessels use high electric volts to attract the fish. The nets are also designed with holes which are small enough to hold the rice. Moreover, the shelters to dry the fish are built in the places where it can set as tourist destinations. There are some arguments on the land ownership between fishery enterprises and tourism enterprises. Concerning the question, Hluttaw, Deputy Minister for Agriculture, Livestock and Irrigation, gave the response.
The vessels fishing anchovies by using fishing nets with holes of 0.25 inch are not officially allowed. In 2018-2019 fiscal year, 35 vessels without license, 68 vessels violating the regulations, and 2 illegal fishing gears were caught. In 2019-2020 fiscal year, 28 vessels without license, 13 vessels violating the regulations, and 1 minesweeper were caught. All these cases were taken action in accordance with the existing laws.
The Nai region government is to monitor the fisheries businesses and to provide specific place for shelters to dry. To be able to perform fisheries in line with the regulations, Myanmar Marine Fisheries Law was enacted in 1990 and it was edited in 1993. Mentioned in Section 2J and K, both inshore and offshore fisheries are determined by the authorized person in line with the official documents. The volume of the business and the size of vessels are also officially determined. In 2018-2019 fiscal years, along Myanmar Marine Fisheries water, there were 3,211 licensed offshore businesses and 19,199 licensed inshore businesses, which were owned by local enterprises. News reported by Dora Susan from Myanmar International Radio.
That's the report on question raised about anchovy fishing in Amyotha Hluttaw. Myanmar citizens in the foreign countries are facing difficulties to come back to the country, even though the relief flights are running to carry back Myanmar citizens from the coronavirus-infected countries. The returnees were allowed to come in from 30 April after the government has prepared sufficient facility quarantine centers with the respective Minister of the Border Affairs like Kayun State, Mon State, and Shan State, and Myanmar Embassy from abroad. Since the 30th April, a total of 57,000 persons from China, from Thailand, and from abroad have returned to the country. Let's have a report for more.
The Ministry of Home Affairs led the returnees to come in from 30th April after the government has prepared sufficient facility quarantine centers with the respective ministers of the border affairs like Kayun State, Mon State and Shan State, and Myanmar embassies from abroad. There are a total of 3,014 facility quarantine sites in the country, and 18,898 returnees are undergoing at the relatives' facility quarantines, according to a quick and dirty analysis on daily situation of COVID-19 in Myanmar till 1st August. Though all the returnees who had come back to the country by the relief flights or other means, they have to stay 21 days facility quarantine at the quarantine centers. In accordance with the instructions of National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in coordination with the Myanmar embassies abroad and other relevant ministries in Myanmar, has been organizing relief and special flights since the end of April. Dr. Amyotha, the doctor in charge of the Jiminai Fever Clinic, spoke to MI Radio about the importance of the returnees' participation in the current COVID-19 situation.
All the returnees have to stay quarantined as soon as they have arrived. They can't know whether they have had the virus, and they can't know the people they are close to. Staying quarantined will be the safest way for everyone. The COVID-19 virus can't transmit us as long as we have strong immune systems. There are lots of countries which have faced the second outbreak of COVID-19 in US, Brazil, and some Asian countries. We can't neglect the rules and guidelines from the Ministry of Health and Sports. When the first cases were found out, the people were very afraid of the infections and came to the fever clinics to test the virus. But now only a few people have to come to fever clinics.
Myanmar citizens in the foreign countries are facing difficulties to come back to the country, even though the relief flights are running to carry back Myanmar citizens from the coronavirus-infected countries with the help of the officials from the Ministry of Labour, Immigration and Population and the Ministry of Health and Sports. Ume Aungchanda, the Myanmar citizen from Malaysia, spoke to MI Radio how they had faced difficulties in the COVID-19 period. He said,
COVID ကာလမှာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံသားတွေရဲ့အခုတက်တော်အခက်အခဲရတော့အလုပ်
In the COVID-19 period, we have a lot of difficulties, especially in the jobs and in the living. Many places in the country were on lockdown by Malaysian government because of the COVID-19. We got only average 50 ringgits daily. Many Myanmar citizens lost jobs while the factories were shut down by the Malaysian government. There are over 400,000 Myanmar citizens in Malaysia. Many of them lost their jobs. There are over 7,000 Myanmar citizens who have submitted the application forms to the Myanmar embassy to get the relief flights. They should have passports and work permit to prove. There are still many people who need to go back to the country, especially the pregnant women and the jobless workers. Now, the Malaysian government relaxed the restrictions, but they fined 1,000 ringgits to everyone who go outside without wearing the masks.
There are a total of 9,336 persons who had arrived back. Since the 30th April, a total of 57,000 persons from China, from Thailand, and from abroad have returned to the country through the Chain Shui Ho border gates and number 2 Friendship Bridge in Myawaddy Town, Kayin State. More than 18 million people around the world have been afflicted with the deadly coronavirus disease, while more than 11 million have recovered, and more than 690,000 have died, according to the data from the Worldometer Coronavirus Resource Center. The total number of the COVID-19 cases in the country rise to 355, with 302 recoveries and 6 deaths, according to the release from the Ministry of Health and Sports as on 4th August.
That's a report on many Myanmar returnees face difficulties to come back. Stay with us as we bring you more reports from Myanmar Today. As the government has introduced to reduce the tax on imported vehicles based on the engine power of 1st August, many of the business persons from this sector hope it might draw the attentions of the customers in car market, which has been down in the last few months. Wilson will tell us the full report.
On the 1st of August, the government announced that there will be tax exemption based on the engine power of vehicles, and with the introduction of this new tax system for the imported vehicles, many of the business persons from these sectors are suggesting that the vehicle price will come down, especially tall vehicles. But on the other hand, some also suggest that this introduction of the new tax exemption based on the engine power of vehicles may affect the vehicles made in Myanmar as well. This introduction of new tax system will bring down the car price up to 5%, where the vehicles which cost 50 million kyats without this tax exemption may be sold around 47 million kyats after the effect of tax exemption. But all these effects solely depends on the engine power of vehicles, where vehicles with big power engine may see price cut from 5 million kyats to 10 million kyats. Speaking on the impacts this new automobiles tax system may bring, U.A. Min, Managing Director of Winyan Car Sales Center, and he said,
The vehicle's price will go down, which is sure, but looking at the present condition, the sale is not doing well for now, but we have to wait and see. With the introduction of this new tax system, we hope that the sale to grow eventually. The customers are not going to rush to buy vehicles. They will wait and see. In the coming days, the sale will be still low for sure, as it has been in the last few months. All we are expecting is the vehicle price will go down at least 10%.
It is true that this new tax system will bring the vehicle price down, and it will mostly affect the vehicles with higher price. But this new tax exemption will also have no effect on the vehicles who have already done custom duty in the port, and it will mostly have effect on the vehicles which will be imported by the end of August. However, some business persons from this sector say that the government should release the exact amount of tax exemption on each of imported vehicles after this tax exemption is in effect. Utanzo is the chairman of Tantuma Car Dealers Camp, and he also spoke to Amer Radio and said,
This introduction of new rules will have effect only on the newly imported vehicles, and it has nothing to do with the vehicle imported prior to the introduction of this new vehicle tax exemption. We are not sure that it will increase the sale in the market or not. But after the announcement of this new rule, we have seen the attention of the public grow, and many people come to the showroom just to inquire more on this matter. But the customer need to know that it has nothing to do with the vehicle imported before August this year, as it will have effect only on the vehicle imported from August.
According to the new tax exemption introduced, the vehicles with engine power 2000 cc and under it 30% to 20% respectively. For the vehicles with 2000 cc above will get the exemption from 40% to 30% respectively. For the vehicles under SKD process with 2000 cc will also get the tax exemption from 10% to 0% respectively. But for imported SKD vehicles with 2000 cc above will get tax exemption from 20% to 5% respectively, with this tax exemption is in effect starting from 1st of August.
That's a report on vehicles price amid new tax exemption. The Ministry of Health and Sports is carrying on the implementations of processes for MS-NPAN, with the 3 implementation periods are going to carry out by cooperating with the different and various sectors from 2021 to 2023. The evaluating processes for the implementation will take from 2023 to 2024.
The second Pidu Hluttaw held the 8-day meeting of 17 regular section on Tuesday. At the session, Pidu Hluttaw representative from Myanmar Township, Myanmar, raised a question on the current implementation of the plan and implementations of further processes.
Multi-sectoral National Plans of Actions on Nutrition 2018 to 2023 စီမံကိန်းအားရည်မှန်းချက်ပြည့်မြောက်အောင်မြင်စေရန်အတွက်လက်တလောဆောင်ရွက်ထားရှိမှုအခြေအနေများ
State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi chaired the first national coordination meeting on nutrition in Pakokku, Magwe region, and on January 25th in 2017, according to the key outcomes of the cross-ministry coordination meeting on national nutrition strategy, the Ministry of Health and Sports found that the National Nutrition Promotion Steering Committee, together with the officials from 5 related ministries since 2018. Then the state and regional nutrition promotion steering committees were organized and instructed to take the plans of actions on nutrition strategy. My constituency included in Ayawari region. The Ayawari region is abundant in food, but the worst malnutrition process in Myanmar. So I'd like to ask on processing the current implementations of Myanmar multi-sectoral national plans of action on nutrition 2018 and 2023 and implementing its future processes.
The Myanmar Multi-Sectoral National Plan of Action on Nutrition MS-NPAN 2018-2022 is to reduce all forms of malnutrition in mothers, children, and adolescent girls with the expectation that will lead to the healthier and more productive lives that contribute to the overall economic and social aspirations of the country. Following the section, Dr. Mya Lise, Deputy Minister of Health and Sports, responded to the asterisk mask questions on MS-NPAN 2018-2023.
စီမံကိန်းကာလနဲ့ရထားချက်လုပ်ငန်းစဉ်များကို2019နှစ်မှ2024ခုထိတင်ပြလိုပါတယ်
I would like to report the tracker plans and project period for multi-sectoral national plan of action on nutrition MS-NPAN 2018-2023. The project for planning and preparation of MS-NPAN were carried out from 2017 to 2019. For the first, Myanmar Micronutrient and Food Consumption Survey was completed within November of 2017 to May of 2018. National Nutrition Promotion Steering Committee was also organized with the officials from 5 related ministries on 22nd of August in 2018. The first-time meeting of National Nutrition Promotion Steering Committee was held in September of 2018, and the State and Regional Nutrition Promotion Steering Committees were organized in October of 2019. The National Nutrition Promotion Working Committee was founded in November of 2019. The inception phase of the project for state and regional level has been kept on from 2020 to 2021. The Ministry of Health and Sports is carrying on the implementation processes for MS-NPAN, with the 3 implementation periods are going to carry it out by cooperating the different and various sectors from 2021 to 2023. The evaluating processes for the implementation will take from 2023 to 2024.
The government will spend 929 billion on implementing a 5-year multi-sectoral national plan of action for nutrition MS-NPAN from 2018 to 2019 fiscal year to 2022 to 2023 fiscal year, according to the first meeting of the National Level Leading Committee for Nutrition Development in Myanmar. The 5-year-long national-scale project was drawn with the aim to effectively address the malnutrition issue in Myanmar in accord with the prescribed guidelines and instructions.
That's a report on MS-NPAN to be carried out with the implementation. And that's all we have for today's report, and it's time to check on some international news here on Myanmar Today. At least 4 people were found dead after a warehouse partially collapsed in Harbin, capital of Northwest China, on Tuesday. The collapse happened at 8:55 a.m. in a warehouse of the food company in the Taoli district, leaving the 9 people trapped under the rubble. 4 people pulled out in the late afternoon were found dead. Some 350 rescuers are still searching for those missing. The identities of the dead are now being verified, and relevant persons of the warehouse have been detained by the police. The municipal government said it has launched an investigation into the cause to the collapse. On July 7th, U.S. President Donald Trump called for the reopening of schools as COVID-19 cases reached new grave milestones in the country. This was followed by the teaching professional, school administrators, and parents expressing their concerns about the safety of the children and stopped returning to the schools, staging nationwide protests. The New York mayor has announced a hybrid back-to-school plan, with most students inside their physical schools just 2 or 3 days a week, sometime this fall. Teachers at the protest said not enough has been done to make sure schools are safe for students and teachers. Rallies took place in more than 25 U.S. states on Monday. Thousands of parents, educators, and students participated virtually and in person. Governor Andrew Cuomo said school opening is up to him and he wants to wait and watch before final decision is made.
We will not send our students or our teachers into danger. Public speaker, I am an activist, mostly for education and criminalization.
To make these free testing centers know that they need to give people their status.
This is going to affect an entire generation of young people, and I'm sick of working behind a computer. There's no teacher who wants to be working from home behind a computer all day while also having to provide for their own families in real time. No one wants that, but we don't want to come back to a place that's putting our lives at risk. None of the teachers that I organize with or I know and I've worked with in all these years of teaching are against going back to school. We're against going back to an unsafe reopening, and that's why we use the language we're demanding a safe reopening.
Member of the movement of rank and file educators and Black Lives Matter at Schools NYC.
Before their quarantine time is up.
The Philippines returned a lockdown in and around capital Manila on Tuesday, after it reported 6,352 new coronavirus infections, making the biggest daily jump in case in Southeast Asia, and after posting a record rise in 5 of the past 6 days. President Rodrigo Duterte agreed to restore the lockdown after medical groups warned the healthcare system was being overwhelmed by the COVID-19 patients. More than 27 million people in Manila and nearby province will be put under another lockdown for the 2 weeks, just after restrictions were relaxed in June. With only 24 hours notice of the shutdown, many found themselves stranded in the capital and unable to get back to their hometowns. Officials deployed dozens of shuttle buses along with the army trucks to ferry stranded medical personnel and workers of authorized business. And that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I'm your intern, Michelle. Have a great day. Until next time.